everyone, and welcome to our exciting webinar that we have today with some senior leadership from Workday, some of our partner friends from AWS, and some leadership here from Opsera. But we're so excited to be able to tell you how Workday improved their security posture with the help of Opsera Unified DevOps Platform, but really it's their story. So we're just going to take a few moments here to introduce ourselves and let them get right on started. So Albert, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Albert Chias, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here. I lead our enterprise security function here at Workday. I've been here for a few years now, really trying to aim to solve any security gaps we may have, really define what our zero trust posture looks like across the organization, and really just allow our business to continue to maintain their velocity. So
this is Avi. Pleasure to be here again with our partners, Kumar and Opsera team. They've been close partners with Workday Business Technology. So I lead, DevOps and other portfolios in business technology, enabling our stakeholders to leverage the platform for the best of the best. And really happy to be here.
Awesome. We're so excited that you could join us and tell your story. I'd also like to introduce Alex. Alex, can you introduce yourself to the team?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I'm with AWS, and I'm a partner solutions architect there, focusing on security. And I'm very excited to be here today with our partners, Workday and Opsera.
Welcome. And then Kumar.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate both Workday and AWS, and Workday, both Albert and Ravi, and great to be partnering with you guys. And really appreciate your time, taking the time today, and then sharing your story and then your experiences as well. I think a lot of people will get benefited by your story. We really love your story for sure, and glad to be part of this journey with you guys. I'm Kumar Chivukula, co-founder and CEO of Opsera. So.
Absolutely. Like Kumar said, we're very excited. I think the best way for us to get started here is to do a little bit of an intro in case people aren't familiar with all of our organizations. So Albert, if you'd like to give us a little overview of Workday, what your company does and who you are.
Yeah, so well, Workday primarily is enterprise software for a lot of the Fortune 500s, really. How do we streamline and manage human resources, financial management, and pretty much anything related to back office that you can think of. We've been in the game for quite a few years now, but we were really first to adopt that cloud methodology of how we serve our customers. So it's been a really great ride here at Workday. I think our clients absolutely love us. Our customer satisfaction is through the roof. And I'll pass it over to Rob if there's anything else he wants to add. But Workday is a great company, and happy to be here.
We've been named, back-to-back, Gartner leader in finance as well. So, I want to call that out.
Good call. Awesome. Yeah, we love to hear it. All right. Yeah, Kumar, you want to tell the audience a little bit about Opsera?
Yeah. So the Opsera is our mission and goal was to enable, empower enterprise companies to make the software delivery faster, better, secure. As a result, we took a platform approach, and we coined the term Unified DevOps Platform. And finally, Gartner changed the category 4 months back to DevOps Platform for Value Stream Management to DevOps Platform. We're happy to be part of that magic quadrant and helping enterprise companies. And we're using our platform, and we work across SSDLC, SaaS application, COTS application, and provide unified insights and provide the governance along with security quality integrations. That's the quick summary of Opsera.
And now, in case somebody's been living under a rock, Alex, will you tell us what AWS is?
Yeah, in case anybody's been under a rock, we are the world's leading cloud platform that partners such as Workday and Opsera are built on top of. And we have over 200 fully featured services served from our global data centers and our global network. And yeah, hopefully we get more people building on us.
Absolutely. Okay, great. So thank you so much for the intro. We're just going to do a little agenda here, and then really it's the Workday story. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk a little bit about what DevSecOps is. We're going to talk about the journey that Workday has taken, specifically through their security reviews. And Alex is going to lead us through the AWS shared responsibility model and why that supports the Workday story and what we're trying to do here. And then we're going to talk a little bit about shifting left with tools and culture via the Opsera Unified DevOps platform. And then at the end, we'll leave a little time for questions. So firstly, Kumar, why don't you tell us what DevSecOps is?
So, we have a lot of experts in the room in the webinar, and I will take a quick shot at it and let Albert and Ravi and Alex to chime in as well. So DevSecOps is nothing new that is we're talking today, and it's been there for quite some time in a different form and shape, especially with the DevOps and software delivery management, and where when developers and operation security teams have to come together, and the processes and technology, and then your people, it's a combination of the culture. They all have to come together to achieve this one. It's not a technology, it's not a tool, it's not a something that you just think about today and then you start working on tomorrow. It's a combination of that. The idea is to enable, empower the developers, and also make sure that they do the part along with some guardrails, and so that security by design is always baked into the equation from day one, so that security is a shared responsibility. It's not like one security team has to take care of security, developers have to take care of the development. It's a combination of that, and that's to bring it together. And DevSecOps concept will help enterprises when they adopt right, and they'll be able to shift the automation to the left and be able to bring the productivity and all visibility, governance, and with guardrails. That's the idea behind that.
Absolutely. So in practice, right, let's talk a little bit about in practice what this looks like. And we're going to do this by the Workday story. So I'm going to hand over the entire webinar to Albert and Ravi, and we're going to talk through sort of an example of what happened with your security reviews. So Albert, Ravi, take it away. Tell us your security review story. First of all, what happened?
Yeah, I can start. First of all, we all know everybody loves security reviews, right? Super transactional, in the weeds. We go deep and wide, and we try to solve all the world's problems. But I think ultimately, when you frame that in the context of development, it's definitely not scalable, right? Things are not immutable. They change constantly. And so, the way you may typically perform a security review or threat modeling or whatever you want to call it, right, just doesn't work for developers, right? And that's kind of where Ravi and I put our heads together because we definitely needed a better way to kind of streamline this process overall. So that's a little bit from my perspective, but Ravi, let me pass it over to you and you can provide additional color.
Sure. So from typical developer hat, because I come from that background, if I have to think about security and design, you can ask any developer, they will always pick the latter. They will always start with, hey, what is my design? What is my objective to code? How am I going to, interface and integrate with other, APIs or whatnot? Seldom comes in where, it's, in the early stage where a developer thinks about security, always, it goes back to, hey, it's not my responsibility, someone else is watching over my back, trying to have my code developed in a way that, it is secure, but, they don't understand, to Kumar's point. Security it's a shared responsibility. It starts from design. It's a mindset. So, if we are enforcing something on developers in the very, early stage of SDLC, and that too with security focus, it's hard to change that mindset. And one security review done during the design, and after multiple iterations of, releasing code into production, things can change from what we thought during the design and what we reviewed with security and what we actually is in deploying in production. And it's a continued process. So how do we catch all the security vulnerabilities ahead of the time and incorporate that as a mindset from a developer perspective? That's the journey, and it was obviously people process with the tools and technologies in place but it starts with the mindset of developer that, okay, it's a shared responsibility across.
Yeah, totally agree. We obviously have a lot of efforts to continue to shift left, right? Get out of the way and make sure that we continue development, however, securely, right? And I think, this story that we took, utilizing Opsera to help drive a lot of that, really shows the value. Again, it was very transactional, right? Like Ravi said, things would change, and we were always playing a game of catch up. And I think at this point, by investing in a tool that allows us to get us more visibility even at the code level before it goes into the cycles of whatever that may be, to even ensuring quality checks, vulnerability scanning, and everything else that lies in between. We can now really give that focus back to the developers to really ensure that they're developing it in a secure manner, right? And overall, that helps both of us, right? It allows the business technology team to maintain their velocity, but it also gives us, where security people are typically very paranoid. So the more data we have, the easier we can sleep at night, ensuring that things are actually being done correctly or following like security reference architecture. So for us, I mean, a lot of that stemmed with, focusing on the technology piece, but the process, the people, that is such a key component of SSDLC, right? You need security champions, you need people to understand best practices going into architecture design, and that's a journey that will continue to go on here for us.
Fantastic intro to a thing that I think everybody's struggling with, right? Everybody struggles with this. It doesn't matter what team they're on, they're going to have this problem. So let's take it all the way back to the very beginning, right? Let's take it back to the pre-times several months ago. What sort of things were you struggling with in the more manual efforts? What sorts of problems and challenges were you experiencing? How long were security reviews taking? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think security reviews were taking quite a long time. But Ravi, maybe if you want to start, just maybe on the architecture side, and then I can chime in on the security side.
Sure. So from a process perspective, when we have a requirement coming in from our business stakeholders, we take that, synthesize into a design, and start looking and working towards creating a security review ticket with our security partners here at Albert's team. So what happens is it's a back and forth across, like, from a design perspective. So it may, be done in, a couple of days to a couple of weeks, sometimes even longer, depending upon the complexity of the design. But in the end of the day, we have to deliver to our promise to our stakeholders. So going back, and we saw, hey, what are the sticking points around our productivity? And most of the times, it's all coming back, hey, we are repeating the same questions again, repeating the same reviews, and most probably, it is standardized way of, there's a way to do, kind of standard way of doing things, reducing the overall time it takes for us to complete the security reviews. Rest assured, it's not like, a ceremony. We want to make sure that there's insights given to our security teams, and they are providing us an insights to, deploy this, piece of code into production more securely. So rest assured, Workday is protected, and Workday's, applications are protected. And there's a lot of challenges. What we figured out is, hey, let's actually start putting together some template-based approach, find, patterns, and start, socializing around these patterns. If it falls under this pattern, then, you're pre-approved. The whole idea of reducing the time it takes for these cycles starts with these different patterns. So Albert and I, we started this initiative called SSDLC, then we later made it DevSecOps, which encompasses our objectives of reducing the cycles and creating the security approved templates, we can have more visibility around what code has been deployed and what kind of vulnerabilities are being given. Vulnerabilities have been actually visible to both security and BT leadership. So we have this, we understand this is a journey. So we made it more of OKRs, objective key results per quarter, started synthesizing them into smaller wins, and then started moving towards a larger objectives. Albert, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, just to add a couple of points there. I think the partnership that was had between my organization living in security and your organization living in business technology, I think the alignment was fantastic, right? We really agreed on the shared goals, what were the business drivers, and what were the actual outcomes, not only for each individual party, our own, but as well as the business, right? And I think that was probably the hardest challenge that we had, right? Was, okay, there's a lot to do here, right? How do we get things into Opsera? How do we make it repeatable? And what's going to give us the most value, right? But doing that analysis early on, focusing our efforts to build out those templates so they could be reused for more and more pipelines that followed our security policies and standards, I think was the key. Right. And I know we've made quite a lot of progress on that front, over the last few months, and that's going to continue to grow. Right. And I'm sure, it's never going to stop. There's always going to be new architecture that comes our way, which we're going to need to ensure the correct controls exist. But overall, it's a pattern that's worked for us and continues to work.
Absolutely. And that drives us very, very well into this next section, which is leadership and collaboration. And you just mentioned, Albert, about it had to come from all of your teams. Can you tell us a little bit about what decisions you started to make from your perspective, and how we worked with the development teams to implement these decisions?
Yeah, I can start from our perspective, and I'm sure Robbie can add some color for his own business stakeholders. I think our collaboration with the BT team was, the investment that was made in Opsera, and rather than, try to come up with something else or tack it on, I think we decided, hey, you know what, we're going to get heavily involved with Opsera as well. I know Kumar and I, in the early days, we're talking around a lot of security functionality that we would love to see and grow as well in the tool. And I think it was a real partnership from that strategic level, not only with Opsera, but obviously internally between BT and myself. We really wanted to make this product work for us, right? We wanted to ensure that, we got the visibility we needed, we got the metrics we needed, the KPIs, whatever you want to call them, to make sure that, the developers were actually following a secure deployment model. And then, Robbie, I'm sure you can add some color, but, I know you had your own challenges in trying to understand which templates we're going to build first, so I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, thank you, Albert. I think adding on to it, specifically around collaboration, right? We have always been a requester to security, and security is like, okay, they look into what we submitted, and they come back with some recommendations, questions, or follow-up actions, to selecting a platform where both the teams can, work and collaborate on the platform. That's the game changer that we're talking about, where the security team, Albert's team, is actually looking into how the pipelines are built, how templates are being created on Opsera, and provide, having the visibility around what kind of vulnerabilities, patterns across, like, why is there repeat vulnerabilities coming in? Do we need to have some insights from those data points that Opsera is providing? Where some of the insights could be, do we go back and have additional training to our developers? Do we introduce a new tool set where it is providing much more coverage to the code that we are deploying? Are there any new gaps that we are seeing? So before that, we always either had this in the design discussion or post-production, once we have some, kind of pen testing or any other vulnerability testing that we do. to the game changer part that I want to talk here is having that platform where both the teams are collaborating actively as this whole SDLC is going through. That's a game changer for us.
And lots of project management. We had lots of project managers on both sides of the house ensuring its effectiveness. I mean, even on the Opsera side. So we were all definitely in it to make it successful.
Yeah, I just want to add one point, and because I think we talk about it like a lot of these things with respect to DevSecOps implementation in large enterprises, and having the leadership and collaboration and the partnership between security and then DevOps and development team, very crucial. I think what we've seen firsthand, and between Albert and Ravi sharing the shared goals and shared accountability, that really helped to fuel both sides, both developers and even Opsera, right? We had a common goal for all of us to achieve their outcomes, and really now everyone knows what they're doing, what we're doing, and also within the development team and security team, like Ravi mentioned, the templates, exactly what templates have been used, how they've been used, and what guardrails that you have, and how the code has been deployed. They have an end-to-end visibility, which is paramount for them. As Albert mentioned, more data, more information, help them ensure that they're protecting their assets, protecting their applications. I think it starts from the collaboration, partnership, shared OKRs.
Absolutely. And I love the emphasis on working together in a tool, but it's really about the people, right, that you're working with. But tell us about the processes that you put in place and the tooling that you utilized in order to make this thing come to life.
Sure, Ravi, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I'll start with a little bit around how we created the teams as well, to get into the process and tools, because it all starts with people first. So we created as COE, or the Center of Excellence for DevSecOps, and comprising of the core SMEs from BT DevOps teams, and also from the security teams. The process is around hey, any new template creation follows a life cycle. Once published, this template will be leveraged by the citizen developer teams across multiple BT portfolios, who will start creating pipelines, DevOps pipelines, based on the templates. And we measure the KPIs and provide dashboards for each of them separately. So from a process perspective, we initially started with having soft gated controls when it comes to security, because it's a mindset change. First of all, they are from a citizen developers who do not have much DevOps background. We enable them to use Opsera, how to use the templates and create pipelines. And there is no new pipelines without a template associated with it, which is a security approved template. And they were able to start leveraging it. Once they understand that, hey, there are some of these security tools that we embedded or integrated in the pipeline, there will be more vulnerability reports coming in. And we gave a soft phase control where there are, they can still continue to deploy as long as they acknowledge that these vulnerabilities has to be remediated, at so and so time. And then when we started it, from last year to now, we have seen tremendous decrease in the vulnerabilities because teams have now started working towards remediating them. Now, once they're done, we have a baseline established, because this is all baggage coming from years of development for these. We started, applying hard phase gates, where if there's a vulnerability of critical or high in nature, the next step of deployment or CI or any other steps within the pipelines will stop, period. So we started with that process of kind of soft phase gates towards more restrictive phase gates. And thanks to Albert and team, in trying to give that legway, the room for new citizen developers to really work on their vulnerabilities and come back and baseline them.
Yeah, and for any security professional, that's a difficult thing to do, right? Because you're knowingly allowing some risk. But I think in this scenario, right, as we consolidated into the tool, we knew that to really champion SSDLC, not only from a security mindset to actually utilizing the security approved templates, was to really just bring that awareness back to the developer, right? This is not something that they were aware of before, right? And if they were, it was always in a retroactive manner, right? So actually being proactive, putting it in front of them every single time a job is running, we could actually then garnish those metrics, understand, okay, how do we just keep tightening the screw a little bit more until we can actually get to a comfortable state for those hard gated controls. And I think overall, I mean, that process alone, I think was super valuable for us collectively as a team without really impacting the business and all the users of the platform. The other thing on tools, I just wanted to add one other subject, right? There's no end-all be-all tool when it comes to application security, right? There's so many different programming languages. I mean, we've seen a handful even in our template build, and I think it's really being open-minded to making sure that you're implementing what works for those specific deployment pipelines. Not everything's going to fit in the cookie cutter box, right? This is a very complicated space, and I think just be open to that process and work within the confines of your capabilities. So.
Fantastic. I loved that theme of enabling your developers. That's fantastic to hear that, and giving a little leeway and a little grace to get up to speed, right? Helping them come along with the journey. I think that's fantastic. So we went through all those processes. We set up this tool. We're all working together. What are some of the outcomes that you all have experienced as a result of these changes?
Yeah, well, starting on the security side, I mean, we now have full visibility into, what's the health of the actual repos, right? Are there any credentials that may have been hard-coded, which is a big no-no, right? And making sure that those are getting alerted from a DNR perspective, quality checks, just other things that can introduce risk into our development pipelines, even on the production side. Again, with those hard-gated controls, really not allowing code to proceed to the deployment phase if they're pretty egregious, right? If they're critical or high, from a CVE perspective, we inform the developer. So, I mean, I think having Opsera to really drive that capability from a shift left perspective has been awesome. I think the other things that we built from a process perspective, like building these templates that really align, that cookie cutter process for us has been super great. And then obviously it just gives us more and more insights into everything that's occurring, right? Before it was disparate. It was all over the place. Yes, we always get things in our SIM or whatever the case may be, but we now have to correlate that Jenkins server and this Jenkins server or that Argo server. It's all over the place, right? Now we have a singular point of glass to really reference not only what the developers are doing, but what is the security visibility behind it. So
yeah, and just to add, in the security approved templates, we were able to create few hundred pipelines, and they are actually running. Most of them are running from maybe 10 to 15 templates that are approved. Making our lives easy. Initially, we didn't, it's a journey. So when we started with 1 or 2 templates, it will take time. You don't see the value or the outcomes within the quarter or 2 quarters. But as you onboard more applications onto this platform, we see that, hey, this team is leveraging those 2 templates that we created in the Q1. The other team is actually leveraging 3 templates from past year. So all adds up, and it's a cumulative effect. And look back now to where we started to few hundred pipelines, really being leveraging those just 10 to 12 pipelines templates was an achievement that we should be really proud of.
Awesome. I think that's just even seeing visibility into numerous pipelines where you didn't have that before, right? Incredible increase in capabilities just in a very short amount of time. So really excellent stuff. We're about to cover some advice and best practices. And at the end of this webinar, we'll do a key takeaways slide that'll give sort of your last effort, your last button up of the story. But if you were to give some folks embarking on this process some advice on what to look out for, what would you say to them?
Well, it's a very complex topic, right? And so I'd say take the gloves off, get your hands dirty, figure out what's there, and put a plan together. I mean, I think when Ravi and I started this exercise, there was a lot going on. And I think we agreed on some high-level goals that we wanted to accomplish, and we just set the mark, and we built the program around that. What is the first phase? What is the next phase? What is our end goal, right? So don't be afraid. It can get a little wonky at times. I won't say that this has been the smoothest program, because there was a lot that we both learned from this. And I think it's okay, but just continue to keep driving, keep doing best for the organization, whether it's to give your developers velocity, develop securely, or just get that security visibility. I think all of those things have to weigh in when you're kind of designing how you're going to do this for your organization.
Yeah, I'll add a few more points. Going back to the fundamentals of agile principles. Be flexible. So think that you will fail, and there's a possibility to learn from the failure, and start building towards that program. So when hindsight, a lot of things that we learned over the period of time, but it goes back with fundamentally the enabling the teams, developers around first, the processes that we want to, establish the goals first, tell them, what are the goals that we are trying to achieve, what are the outcomes, and then, start enabling the teams of what they need, all the way from, how do they check in, the typical, code merger processes, where are the controls that we are intended to put, and, from quarter to quarter, which controls will be active. When I say active, these are hard phase gates. These controls will be no longer a soft one where we are letting them go. So giving them visibility into the overall program, and also the step-by-step approach to them, and keep enabling them, having a quarterly or twice a year. Hey, how's the data looks like? How are we doing? Where are we? Majority of the issues coming in from. So what should we do? What are we trying to do? So again, going back to flexibility, learning from the previous quarters objectives, and driving to the outcomes.
Awesome. That's really helpful. I think a lot of people are really scared to embark upon this journey, right? It's a big thing to try to make change without boiling the ocean. And I love the idea of flexibility, of getting started early and just working together on it. Great story. And I think we're going to talk with Alex at AWS here now. Alex, it seems like Workday's doing it right. Right, they're building some really great stuff, and you brought in your shared responsibility model to help reinforce these themes that they've talked about. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about how AWS views DevSecOps and how the Workday story is really doing it right.
Sure, yeah. So we've talked a lot about the shared responsibility of security across the organizations within Workday. And I also want to talk about the perspective of a company building on AWS, which would be Workday and Opsera. And security has always been job zero here at AWS, and we love that a lot of our partners are also focusing so much on that principle. So the AWS shared responsibility model, not so clearly, but in this model clearly separates the security obligations between the customers and AWS. And so AWS secures the cloud infrastructure. So that would be the hardware, the networking infrastructure, storage, compute, data, and the software that AWS has built. But then on the flip side, the customers are responsible for securing their data, their applications, and the more granular access to those data and applications. And in a DevSecOps landscape, this model emphasizes not just the technology, but more importantly, the people and the processes that go through these development cycles. And in a DevSecOps culture, every team member will play a vital role in security. And this approach shifts the perspective of security from just a gatekeeping function to be an integral part of the everyday development lifecycle, and it empowers teams to incorporate security in every aspect of the software development lifecycle. So at Workday and at Opsera, this model is integrated into every process. So their continuous orchestration approach in DevOps merges automated security tools with process integration, and this ensures the continuous security checks and compliance assessments throughout the whole development process. So it's about embedding security in every decision, code line deployment, and fostering a more proactive security posture. And today's example of the collaboration between Workday and Opsera perfectly highlights an environment where security is not just the security team's job, but everyone's responsibility.
Totally agree. And thank you for putting a fine point on it. That's what we like to hear from AWS. It really reinforces. We're all working together. All right, great. So thank you so much, Ravi and Albert and Alex, for sharing sort of a real world concrete example about what's happening with DevSecOps in very large organizations. I'd like to invite Kumar to tell us a little bit about how Opsera works in this entire model and sort of what specific capabilities and features that we utilize to help them with their process.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna, and really appreciate Albert and Ravi and Alex for sharing insights. More importantly, for the Workday perspective, they really like they show the partnership and then like taking the element of risk that they've taken to start the journey, and then to improve the overall productivity and improve the experience, developer experience, and more importantly, like ensure that the security is by design is embedded into the overall process. That is the key, because ultimately, when we talked about shared responsibility, how we can bring them together. We are here to offer a platform in which everybody can come together and have the accountability, ownership, and also visibility and governance and guardrails. But our goal is to leverage the platform, and where enterprises like Workday can take full advantage of the use cases that we have within DevOps, DevSecOps, and deliver the software with higher quality and security and end-to-end visibility. With that, I'll just quickly provide the overview of Opsera. If you can go to the next slide, if you don't mind. And with respect to Opsera DevSecOps platform, and as we talked about it, we approached as a unified DevOps platform. And our goal is not to tell the enterprises to pick this tool or pick that tool. We want to work with them and understand what they've invested and see how we can meet them where they are, help them accelerate the journey, just like Workday has demonstrated to you guys, and using no-code platform with the freedom and choice, with the freedom of selecting the tool and selecting the cloud and selecting the technology stack. In the Workday example, they have a discrete number of technology stacks. It's not like a SaaS application or SDLC. Within SDLC, different languages and different permutations. Within the data services, they have different services they use in AWS. So how do we bring all of them together in a single pane of glass? Which is what in the platform, we use three-pronged approach. The first one is toolchain automation. Think toolchain automation is more of a DevOps as a freeway, where you can just have the basic foundation. You bring your own tools together, register them, and then pick the tools like as Albert mentioned, Ravi mentioned, right? You don't have to worry about the tools. Tools can be provisioned through Opsera. Sanction tools, sanction templates can be provisioned there. Once you have a basic tools in automation, that's where the no-code pipeline comes in. There, Albert and Ravi talked about it, a lot of the templates. This is where once you create a template, basically you have your own release car for your own application. You can start driving the release car in the DevOps as a freeway with proper guardrails, security, quality gates embedded into it. And then the same platform can be extended to the SDLC, SaaS applications, also infra as a code, some of the use cases they're using for other customers as well. The architecture allows allows enterprises to leverage a single platform to perform the DevOps functions across 3 different distinct use cases that we talked about it. And when you're driving the release cars, how do you get the visibility in general when you have so many of them going around, and how do you get the visibility? So we took inspiration from NIST, Department of Defense, and DORA. We curated about 100 plus KPIs. We also give the persona-based insights, and as a result, respective people, security team care about the security metrics, developer and DevOps team care about their own metrics with respect to pipeline, productivity, and experience metrics and quality. And they get to see them by application, by persona, by sprint, and by release, and by like combination of various applications as well, in a grouping by director or VP as well. Last but not least, we also give the capability for audit and compliance along with security, right? So something want to be provided, like let's say, for example, Ravi's team or somebody within the application team, they have to provide the evidence to for the particular release. All they have to do is go back to the blueprints and just give the blueprint to them and say, give the template so they can match it, whether the template and the blueprint is matching or not. If the matches, that means that they follow the guidelines and they follow the gates as well. So to bring it together, so what we have done is, if you think about like the Workday picture here or any other customer, right? It starts from the source code, and you can scan the source code, look for secrets, keys, passwords before you push the code to the pipelines, right? So that way you identify, detect, and prevent them proactively. Once you go past this stage, using the templates, you can go to various stages and apply the security quality gates, whether it be static code analysis, dynamic code analysis, threat vulnerability management, or container security. Encapsulate them with the wall, so that way you will be able to change the behavior of the developers, not to hard code them. You detect them and give the wall for them to store them so that you can retrieve them programmatically, and so you can avoid them and change the behavior, improve the security posture. With this, you can get the visibility, end-to-end automation, and also transparency governance, and without losing the control from each of the functions, and also by giving the flexibility and enabling the developers to do the job, and having the security team get the visibility, having the DevOps team to manage the overall platform effectively. Okay. That's a quick summary of how we can bring it together. And if you think about it, what within this double click the GitCustodian, one of the modules that we have, how you can discover, identify, governance, visibility, and which is one of the key things that for not only Workday, for other people as well, other enterprises that are using it. And secret scanning is a new category that has been created in the recent past. It's not like it's there for 5 years, 6 years. And because everybody's a developer now, because every company is a software company, a lot of the developers are coming into the play, but not everyone understands the best practices and controls and with respect to Git, how they develop the code, how they store, but they started dumping a lot of the secrets, keys, passwords, and no one knows. And that's where the first activity starts. And look for the knowns. Then you can, once you complete the source code, then identify the various known vulnerabilities, application containers, and VMs with various tools and gates. And then once you apply the governance aspects with the templates or through guardrails that you have, and make soft gates and hard gates, depends on where you are in the journey. And through the visibility, you can shift the dials where it's not like you have to start all of them in day one. You can mature in the model, crawl, walk, run, and fly, or you can go with various goals that you have in the phased approach. And the platform is capable of supporting it. And it's up to the customers and end users and enterprises to take the platform and use it to their advantage and improve the overall journey with respect to software delivery management with higher quality and higher security.
Awesome. That was a whirlwind, but a really good encapsulation of the tools and processes coming together to help support those teams across the board. And so we're wrapping up here. Here's a little one slide that helps you understand our value prop. We would love for you to come check out Opsera if you ever find yourself in the need to help with your DevSecOps across the board. Schedule a demo with us. We've got some cool demo folks who can help you out. But what I wanted to wrap up today with is some key takeaways for folks who have watched this webinar. They've learned a lot. They've heard some really great stories. But Albert, Ravi, tell us, what are some things you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I can start. Just that it's never complete, right? And back to what Kumar was just saying, I think that the one piece, as you were talking, that just kept popping in my head was repeatability. right? Opsera gives us a clear and defined way to repeat and keep going of how we want to implement these development workflows with security in mind repeatedly, right? And so from that perspective, it's a journey. It's going to have to keep happening. There's going to be new templates we need to create. There's going to be some soft gated controls we set, which eventually putting in the hard gates, and that's okay, right? I think we have a good rhythm now with all the work that we've done since we started this journey together, and we're in a much better position than we were when we started it. So again, don't think you finish your program and it's done. There's still plenty of work to be done, but I think it's for the betterment of your stakeholders, your business partners, and security. So. Ravi, I'll pass it over to you.
Sure. From BT side, or IT side, I would say, start a good relationship with security ahead of the time, and co-sponsor some of the objective or shared goals towards shifting left. Shifting left is a term used quite effectively, but we want to make sure that it is without collaborating with security, shifting left is not really possible. And we can try it from each of the siloed way, but it has to be collaborative way. So shared goals will enable us. And, the small wins, celebrate the small wins, in the early stage of your journey. And as you grow, go towards the journey, you'll see that in hindsight, all the celebrations, all the collaborations really helped us to achieve the objective.
Kumar, what would you like the audience to take away from this awesome webinar we just had?
Yeah, I think it's both Albert and Ravi, they explained the journey. I don't have to add anything at this point of time. It starts with like collaboration and the shared goals mindset from the journey perspective, like in the company when they were implementing anything, whether it be Opsera or anything in the nature. But with respect to DevOps, DevSecOps, like you have everybody thinks that they know everything about this space, but having a common understanding and common shared responsibility is a key here. To me, the way I look at it from the overall journey, you have to understand the maturity level and your goals, what objectives that we want to achieve, and so that you can adjust your goalposts accordingly, and then measure. As Ravi mentioned, that you need to celebrate the wins because it's a journey. It's not like an event that happens once in a day or once a year and then you will forget about it, right? It's a journey that you have to understand and educate them, like show the metrics and educate them and provide create the champions, as Albert mentioned, create the security champions across the board so that they are the people that can have the reviews done before they even goes to the various stages of the journey. I think it's like as a leadership team, it's about enabling the team, and also with respect to platform, we also believe that empower the teams to do the things that they do best in general, overall DevOps, DevSecOps. And our goal is to give the platform in which both developers, security, operations team can come together and be able to operate their things, operate the jobs effectively and efficiently.
So I just want to say thank you, Alex from AWS, Ravi and Albert from our excellent partners at Workday. We've really appreciated your insights. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure everyone on the call really learned a lot today. So thank you so much.